Earlier this year, GameFAQs Special uploaded the biggest, most in-depth video we've ever made, the definitive development history of Sonic the Hedgehog 2. It took roughly 4 months to research and write, and another 2 to record and edit, and the GFS team really pushed themselves to make the best, most complete, most accurate deep dive we could possibly make. And guess what? We still got a bunch wrong. Thankfully, our audience is always right there to call us out on our mistakes and occasionally kick us while we're down. So, after a long break, we're back to address those errors with the help of the comment section. To everyone who watched, liked, and commented on the video, thank you. It means the world to us, and we're working on more content just like this. So make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything. And now let's correct some mistakes and see if we can have some fun along the way. Regarding the unused winter zone we mentioned, we got a few comments that provided some information as well as context. These viewers informed us that the true identity of the mysterious stage is the Rock World Zone area that appears in a few places. We were able to confirm this with the cutting room floor, so the book is closed on that. As for Brawl Sonic's Blue Lake Zone level slot discrepancy, we weren't able to confirm that information with any of our sources. If you have a concrete source for that information, we would love it if you could share it with us. Not Dynamite Duck took notice of our sick Eggman burn, thank you for noticing. And Robintist was pretty brave to post this comment making fun of Yasuhara's legendary drawings. How dare you mock the great Yasuhara! Silver Amy Nux 241 left us a Sonic animated series related comment that really got us thinking. Could Scratch and Clucker actually be the same character? There's no way to confirm this that we could find, but all signs do point to the fact that Scratch and Grounder in Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog were pulled straight from Sonic 2's early development. If you recall, Sega provided early development materials to DiC Entertainment, which they used to create the show's characters. With that in mind, it's definitely possible that Clucker's original name was Scratch, and that's why they were used for the show. Grounder's consistent name and design, minus his color across the game and shows, also makes this plausible. Further evidence that supports this theory comes from DiC Entertainment's The Adventures of Super Mario 3 cartoon, where all the Koopa kids have unique names that differ from their official ones. For example, we have Cheatsy instead of Larry, Bully instead of Roy, Cootie Pie instead of Wendy O. Koopa, and Big Mouth instead of Morton, but definitely not the Big Mouth you're thinking of. Believe me, we want nothing to do with that. And with that in mind, and seeing as the show predates Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog and Sad AM by 3 years, there's definitely precedent for naming shenanigans happening over there at DiC Entertainment. Now, as for Clucker's decidedly legless appearance in the game versus the long-legged version that appears in Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, that could either be the animators having some fun, or there's a completely different design for the character that somehow hasn't surfaced yet. Maybe time will tell. And as long as we're talking about Scratch and Grounder, here's a fun fact for you. They actually traded voice actors early in production. This was revealed in a tweet by Grounder's VA, Gary Chalk, who said that the producer of the show hated the original incarnations of those characters and threatened to fire them if they didn't come up with something better. So they switched characters, came up with new voices, and the rest is history. That's really amazing also. I cannot imagine those characters having any different voices than what they have now. They are iconic. Agent Lazarus might have one of the final remaining holographic Sonic 2 labels in existence. If you have access to this, we hope you'll share it eventually. Everyone else, keep an eye on Agent Lazarus's channel for what might be a preserved piece of Sonic history. T-List94 posted this interesting hypothetical. How different would Sonic 2 have been if Sega had given Sonic Team the green light earlier? It's difficult to say, really. We like to think that if Sonic 2 had those 2 extra months of development, some of the awesome stuff that was scrapped would have made it into the final game. However, there's no guarantee that Sonic 2 would have turned out any different with that extra time because game development is an unpredictable beast. It's a wonder that any game releases in a decent enough state, so when we get masterpieces like Sonic 2, which are unfortunately few and far between these days, we can't really take them for granted. Are the Turtle Badniks a monster movie reference? This is definitely possible, Jacob, but by that logic, Boomer could also have been a reference to Gamera. Maybe Craig Stitt is an undercover weeb. But then again, your perspective of things might be a little skewed, don't you think, Jacob Kaiju? These two viewers seem to think that the unused concepts for a circus-themed zone were repurposed for Sonic Superstars. At first glance, we can agree on this idea. Looking into the Sonic Superstars Pinball Carnival Zone, it definitely seems to have plenty of roller coasters and unsettling clowns, which fits the bill of Craig's description. But was bringing Craig's concept to life over 30 years later really the intent, or did someone else just have a similar idea and they were able to make it happen? I mean, it's not as if carnivals are no longer a common theme in media or even real life at this point. After digging a little bit deeper, we found out that Sonic Superstars was developed 100% by Arzest with some oversight by Sonic Team. The interesting thing here is that Arzest is the game studio founded by Naoto Oshima, who we know as the, or one of the, depending on who you ask, creators of Sonic. But if you recall from the original video, Oshima never actually worked on Sonic 2. He stayed in Japan to work on Sonic CD, so while there's no way to confirm or deny it, it's highly unlikely that he had any contact with Craig Stitt, and the language barrier alone would have made discussing a vague idea basically impossible. Now, could Craig's idea have been passed through the grapevine of the Japanese staff and made it to either Oshima or someone on Sonic Team and then survived 31 years in their memory until it could be created? I don't know, maybe. Ratchet & Clank 14 took time out of their day to leave this comment about our description of a stage hazard in Metropolis Zone. Seems like a weird distinction to make, but okay. AstroTibs left this fantastically helpful comment. Thanks for this, AstroTibs. In my book, a frog is a frog and it's a win either way. GCole01 brings up a very good question here. We told him how many people watched the video and didn't subscribe. He still looks like that now. On another note, we appreciate the Macross reference. That just happens to be Overbound's favorite anime. Ignoring the tone, this was the comment that gave us the idea for this video in the first place. Let's dig into the points being made. While Madness Mountain doesn't appear on any timeline documents, Dust Hill Zone does, which both Sonic Retro and the Cutting Room Floor believe to be the predecessor to Mystic Cave Zone. The Cutting Room Floor also believes that Madness Mountain concept art is connected to Dust Hill, possibly an earlier version of it, although that remains unconfirmed. The fact that medieval was a misleading translation unfortunately didn't come up in our research, but that does seem to be the case. As far as comparing Madness Mountain to Marble Zone, they look similar. Brick, sconces, spikes, even the view through the window in this concept art is comparable to what you see at the beginning of Marble Zone. If you darken the color palette of Madness Mountain concept art, it would pass as a concept for Marble Zone. Mentioning Sand Shower transforming into Winter Zone halfway through was the result of a quote from an interview that we weren't able to find at the time of this scripting. If no one else has a source on that, we can safely retract that statement and acknowledge it as an error. We've already addressed Rock World/Winter Zone. Parts of Genocide City being used for Metropolis Act 3 was attributed to a quote from Tom Payne, who worked on both zones. New information does suggest that the two levels could have coexisted. We mentioned that Brenda's name had changed since Sonic 2 was developed the first time she came up in the script. Referring to her as Brenda Ross was done to maintain consistency with the sources being used. Yasuhara referred to the finale of Sonic 2, meaning Death Egg Zone, as the last battle in space during his Digital Dragons presentation. Others have speculated that the bizarre unused dragon shown in a brief glimpse of concept art during the MTV special was meant to be Doomsday Zone. Yuji Naka talked about Hidden Palace being where Sonic would become Super Sonic after collecting all of the Chaos Emeralds in a 2005 interview with GameSpy. We believe this is the layout concept art that Kat Ann mentioned at the end of their comment, and is admittedly pretty awesome. It's a shame we missed that for the initial video, but thanks for bringing it to our attention. Find another inconsistency? Leave a comment to correct us or share information in the most polite, non-confrontational manner you can muster. If you want to see more Sonic development history videos like this one, partner with us. We're striving to make a Sonic development video for each and every Sonic game, and even some fan games too. And becoming a channel member would go a long way towards helping us produce these videos and achieve that goal. We also have a Patreon if you prefer that approach. Our Bounder tier membership includes shoutouts, access to our members-only episode library, members-only Discord chat with behind-the-scenes look at upcoming episodes and how we make them, and our eternal gratitude. We could really use your help. For now, though, we'd like to thank our one and only Bounder at the moment, Spitfire. Will you be our second member? Click the join button below to make it happen. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, this has been a Game Facts Special.